Are you looking to work on your finances or perhaps your money mindset? Well, welcome to Wealth Wednesday today. So welcome back to the show. Glad to have you back. So I've started this new series on Wednesdays of talking about wealth. Now, I'm not a billionaire and I'm not a multi-millionaire. But what I've learned is some concepts from reading, from studying of money. And I wanted to just really dumb it down what I've learned, some of the stuff I've applied, and really share it with you. And of course, if you want to read further from the masters themselves, like the multi-millionaires and the billionaires in some cases, then I'd encourage you to go study from them or really get yourself a coach or a mentor or teacher that you can learn from further on this subject. But this is an episode designed to really share some of the learnings I've picked up that I'm incorporating in my life. Now, today's focus is on the laws of success, the great book by Napoleon Hill. You may have come across the book Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. This was the original. This was the long version. Before it was condensed into Think and Grow Rich. And there's certain rules in place that Napoleon Hill learned from some of the wealthiest people on the planet, like 100 years ago. But this made a lot of people very wealthy as a result. So I wanted to go through what I picked out from this 700 plus page book with you today. So the first lesson that I've learned from that is it's more profitable to listen than it is to just talk all the time. Now, obviously, I'm talking right now, I'm sharing. There's some speakers out there who make sensational money. But what I've discovered about the best paid speakers on the planet is they also listen to what people want. So while they're doing their talk and they're talking to people and influencing them, they really take on board feedback and messages in the world, what they need to be speaking about. And if you look at the best business people in the world, they really are strategic. They really understand what's going on because they're good listeners. Whereby sometimes you could just go out there, shout out your mouth and say, okay, I'm just going to talk about, and I'm all for being authentic, by the way. I'd never discourage that. But if you look at people who make a lot of money, they're also very good at listening, very good at taking in information, and that can be very profitable. So if you can start to understand what's going on, whether that's in the job or in business or maybe a mix of both, then listening out, paying attention to people is going to pay you a lot more. And I found that in sales. When I started picking up better listening skills, I was able to really understand someone. And therefore, I got to certain points. Sales is a bit, it can be tricky. It has its roller coasters. But when I really understood people and we had a good connection, and we're fairly warm, not completely cold. I find it harder when I've been in cold, like people are colder to like the offer or the business. But I've found good relationships with those people because they felt understood, and more often than not, they bought when they were fairly warm to the company. Okay, the next point is do more than you're paid for. Now this goes against like the traditional like 9 to 5 and the kind of standard I'm just here to pay the bills kind of thing. And that's why you will unlikely become truly wealthy as a result. Like, deliver more value than you are receiving in money. And if you look at people, like the best business people in the world, they do all these offer stacks. They do these massive offers and they give you tons and tons and tons and tons, which could be worth like 50K to 100K to you. And then they're selling it for like 5K, right? But that's a lesson I've learned that very wealthy people do. They offer a lot more value than they're asking for in terms of money, right? Now, people who say, oh, that's a lot of money, that's because they're not seeing the value. And sometimes it might not be valuable to you. What's valuable to someone might be someone else. But generally, people who make a lot more money do a lot more than pay for them. I'm not talking about hustling until you like collapse, but I'm talking about just going that extra mile. See people getting promotions, going that extra mile. But then people will be like, well, I'm not doing that. I'm not, paid for that and stuff like that. And, there are boundaries. I'm not saying there's not and things like that. But if you really want a growing career and business, I found like I got promoted to a sales leader once, and I was going above and beyond. And I also liked it, but I wasn't being paid for it, right? And then I got promoted into position and got a base salary as a result, in addition to my commissions. So do more than you're paid for. The next lesson is think of others like you'd like to be thought of. Everything's energy. I went through a lot of wealth books and they all talk about energy. Energy and frequency are absolutely critical. If you were putting out like even negative thoughts all the time, anxiety, worry, fear, and you're getting frustrated, you're getting angry, then that will probably come back to you. And the same is with resentment of people. So forgive people. And it's not about say what people have done is right, but it's forgiving them for yourself. It's allowing that release. Like there's a couple of people in my life that have really hurt me, but I've had to like allow that emotion out for my own sake, because then that allows me to be in a lot more flow. And when I've been in more flow, in a better energy, that's when amazing things have been attracted into my life as well. Okay. So if you're like someone who's like, I'm going to make the money, but I'm so angry and resentful, right? That's going to like slow you down. That's like driving with the handbrake on, basically, when you feel like that. The next one is a great statement, a great quote I've got here. The man of decision can't be stopped. The man of indecision cannot start. I think that's really powerful. And it goes on to some guidance I heard from a multi-millionaire once in a YouTube video who learned from her billionaire mentor. And the billionaire said he's not anything special. He just jumps in a lot quicker, makes decisions a lot quicker, and learns a lot quicker, and therefore gets results and experience a lot quicker. Now, I'm not saying go out there and do stupid things all the time, but like I've been in sales, I've been in business, I can tell you the people who jump in are a lot more successful than people who think about things. And the reason I've done so well this year, and I've grown myself, like not just mentally, but emotionally, right? And then I've started to attract more business as I've come out the end of it. But it's because I was like, I want that thing, I'm going to do it, even if the investment was a little stick. Like I've invested in a few things, like, but I wanted it. I went for it. Like, yeah, maybe things can go wrong, but I'll tell you what goes more wrong: getting to the end of your life and regretting that you've not made decisions and you've been hesitant on things. So that's another lesson. The man of decision cannot be stopped, but the man of indecision cannot be started. So that really applies to wealthy people. They make decisions. They know there's risk. They'll calculate it. Don't be stupid, right? You know, don't put like your life savings on red in the casino. That's not the kind of stupidity we're talking about. But like, if you're like, okay, there's a financial decision over there, and it's going to cost me, it's like a $10,000 investment for like a coaching program or something. And maybe there's an option to do a bit of credit, and it's going to cost you like $300 a month. The worst case scenario is it doesn't work out for you, and you're paying $300 a month, right? But we have to pay bills, we have to pay all sorts of things. But like if you go, most of these things have like a money back guarantee anyway. So if you go all in, like you should be getting the result. So like that's the worst case scenario. Is that really much of a risk compared to like staying stuck where you are now? The best case scenario is you make 5 times what you or more than you invested in, and your life changes, right? So again, like calculate it, but be decisive in life. The next one is final one is imagination is key. This goes through all the wealth books I've read. Got to train your imagination. Like I have an exercise I've been doing, and things have been showing up, and I've been becoming a different man as a result, slowly and gradually, because I'm like visualizing what I want. I'm seeing myself, I'm feeling myself in those visions. And that's why imagination is so important. So that's what I wanted to share with you today on Wealth Wednesday. Thank you for listening. The book is Laws of Success by Napoleon Hill. Written like 100 years ago, but one of the most notable books out there. Think and Grow Rich is the well-known one, which is a shortened version of this. But I recommend reading that, studying that, and thinking about how you're going to implement that. But I just want to create these series so I can share some guidance with you, and then really, yeah, share my insights and reflections on how it's worked for me in my life. Anyway, thank you for listening. I appreciate you for being here. And remember to lead with your heart and not with fear.